Another troubling chapter is unfolding in Africa's entangled relationship with Western powers. And this time, it's more disturbing than most could have imagined. Before we dive deep, take a moment to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with everyone who needs to hear the truth. We're not here to sugarcoat, we're here to expose, inform, and empower. In a shocking new development, the United States has reportedly inked a deal with the Rwandan government to construct a massive prison facility on Rwandan soil, intended to house some of the most dangerous American criminals. Yes, you heard that right. Criminals the U.S. no longer wants within its own borders will be exported, dumped, into the heart of Africa. And we ask, what does this say about how America views the continent? This is not fiction. This isn't conspiracy. According to emerging reports and multiple sources, this prison project is modeled after what the U.S. has already done in El Salvador. The United States, one of the wealthiest nations on earth, has found it easier to outsource its criminal problem than to solve it domestically. And Rwanda, apparently, is willing to play host. For what? Aid money? Political favors? Let that sink in. If you're watching this right now, drop a comment and tell us where you're tuning in from. Let's see how far across Africa and the diaspora this truth reaches. So what happens if there's a jailbreak? What happens when chaos erupts? The entire East African region would then be forced to deal with the fallout of housing some of the most violent, dangerous individuals on the planet, all because of a deal made behind closed doors. Why are African countries being used as dumping grounds? When Russia partners with Burkina Faso, it brings job opportunities and security resources. When America shows up, it brings criminals and cages. Is this what partnership looks like to the West? This isn't just an insult. It's a calculated move that underscores how little respect African nations are given on the global stage. And worse, it's a tragic reflection of the kind of leadership that allows such decisions to happen. Don't stay silent. Like this video if you're tired of Africa being treated like the world's trash bin. Share it if you believe our continent deserves better. And as if this wasn't enough, another powerful revelation has surfaced. A U.S. congressman directly confronted General Michael Langley during a high-level hearing. He asked the hard questions most African citizens have long wondered. Has U.S. military training in Africa contributed to the coups destabilizing the region? Langley's response? Stunning. He admitted that soldiers trained by the U.S. have indeed gone on to overthrow democratically elected governments, just like in Niger. General Musa Barmu, the man who led the recent coup there, trained at U.S. military institutions like Fort Benning and the National Defense University. The congressman didn't stop there. He demanded a report, by law, on how many coup leaders have been trained using U.S. taxpayer dollars. Langley dodged and deflected, but the facts are clear. In Mali, Chad, Burkina Faso, Mauritania, and Niger, the fingerprints of Western training are all over these uprisings. We ask again, what is the real agenda? Is this peacekeeping or political puppeteering? Is this partnership or power play? If African leaders continue to allow this, how long before the continent becomes a battlefield, not of its own making, but of foreign agendas? When will we control our own militaries, make our own alliances, and decide our own destinies? But the arrogance isn't just coming from the Pentagon. An old clip has resurfaced of French President Emmanuel Macron mocking Burkina Faso's former president in front of students. The audacity, the condescension. Can you imagine an African leader going to Paris and humiliating a sitting French president in public, without diplomatic consequences? This isn't just about one video. It's about centuries of attitude. It's about the deep-seated belief that Africa is still a subordinate. That our leaders are to be scolded and our people used. But things are changing. A new wave of African leadership is rising. In Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has become a symbol of hope and pride. In just under 3 years, his government has achieved what many said was impossible. Reopening gold mines, establishing local factories, boosting agriculture, and even launching electric vehicle manufacturing. This is African capability. This is what leadership looks like when it puts people before profit and sovereignty before servitude. If this message resonates with you, now is the time to subscribe, now is the time to amplify it. Your support helps us keep telling the truth, unfiltered, uncensored, unapologetic. And yet, just as progress emerges, sabotage follows. Another French national, this time posing as an NGO worker, has been arrested in Burkina Faso. Accused of espionage, she was reportedly leaking sensitive information to Côte d'Ivoire, a country long known for its ties to France. Sources allege this was part of a coordinated French plan to launch a ground invasion through Burkina Faso's border. How many more French aid workers will be caught red-handed before African nations understand? France is not letting go. If Burkina Faso is as poor as they claim, why fight so hard to keep a grip on it? Their actions speak louder than their diplomacy. No more. No more to being manipulated. No more to being used. No more to being ignored. This is the time for Africa to rise, to honor the legacies of visionaries like Thomas Sankara and trailblazers like Captain Traoré. And so, we must ask ourselves a difficult but necessary question. Why does the West only support African leaders who serve foreign interests, but seek to destabilize those who serve their own people? This is not democracy. This is neo-colonialism dressed up in the language of diplomacy, aid, and partnership. They send diplomats by day and destabilizers by night. They praise our resilience, while training those who tear our governments apart. And every time we raise our heads with pride, they find new ways to push us down. But we are no longer fooled. The days of quiet submission are fading. A new generation is rising, more informed, more united, and more determined than ever to reclaim Africa's dignity. Look around. Burkina Faso is just one of many examples. Youth are being empowered. Resources are being reclaimed. Local industry is thriving. And yet, because of these achievements, they become targets. If a nation dares to stand tall, it becomes a threat to global power structures that rely on African weakness. So ask yourself, do you want to see more African leaders like Traoré, or more foreign-backed puppets who trade our sovereignty for foreign praise? This is the battle of our time, not just over land or politics, but over who controls the African narrative. For too long, our story has been told by others, twisted to fit agendas that do not serve us. But now, we tell our own story. And it is raw. It is powerful. And it will not be silenced. If you're still watching, make your voice count. Subscribe now, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with everyone who still believes Africa deserves to be free, proud, and whole. The more we speak up, the harder it becomes to ignore us. Because what we're dealing with is not just injustice, it's a system. A system that thrives on broken nations, on corruptible leaders, and on our silence. But this system is trembling. Its cracks are showing. And with every exposed lie, with every rising voice, with every reclaimed resource, Africa edges closer to liberation, not just from colonizers, but from the shadow of colonization itself. And to those in the West who still think of Africa as your chessboard, your moves are being watched. Your intentions are being exposed. And this time, the pieces are fighting back. This is not just a video. This is a declaration. And to the African people, this is your moment. Not tomorrow. Not someday. You are not voiceless. You are not helpless. You are not dependent. For centuries, they've treated Africa like a resource pit and its people like collateral. They mined our lands, rewrote our history, and dictated our futures. But they cannot silence what is rising now. From Dakar to Dar es Salaam, from Kinshasa to Kampala, the truth is awakening. You can feel it in the protests, hear it in the music, see it in the pride of young Africans wearing their culture like armor. The chains are cracking, not because the West is loosening them, but because we are breaking them ourselves. And it scares them. It scares them that African youth are no longer mesmerized by foreign promises. That they are asking real questions, demanding real answers. That they are choosing Pan-Africanism over foreign dependency, unity over division. That they are rallying behind leaders who build instead of bow. They fear an Africa that thinks, questions, resists, and they should. So when a congressman in Washington dares to ask why the U.S. keeps training coup leaders, it's not just an American scandal, it's an African awakening. When French spies are caught pretending to help while plotting invasion, it's not just betrayal, it's proof. And when foreign powers sign secret deals to build prisons instead of universities, it's not just policy, it's a slap in the face. But we are done accepting slaps. We are rising with clenched fists and clear minds. We cannot afford to be passive anymore. Not when our minerals are being stolen under military contracts. Not when our sovereignty is traded for aid packages with strings so tight they strangle us. Not when our future is at stake. So rise. If this message speaks to something in you, deep, ancestral, righteous, then hit that subscribe button now. Let this movement grow. Like this video if you believe in a free Africa. Share it with someone who still thinks we should wait for permission to be great. Because no one is coming to save us. And that's okay. We're saving ourselves. And as we look across the continent, the truth becomes even more undeniable. Africa is not poor, it is being robbed. How else do you explain why foreign powers cling so desperately to the very nations they label failed or impoverished? If Burkina Faso truly had nothing of value, why is France scrambling to infiltrate it through espionage? Why do American lawmakers debate African military operations in closed rooms while pretending to promote democracy? Because they see what we have. They see the gold beneath our soil, the uranium under our feet, the cobalt in our rivers, and the brilliance in our youth. They see the strength we don't always recognize in ourselves. And they fear the day we finally turn that strength inward, to build our own, protect our own, and reclaim our destiny. That day is coming. And in some places, it's already here. In less than 3 years, under Captain Ibrahim Traoré's leadership, Burkina Faso has done what foreign donors failed to do in decades. Gold mines once controlled by outsiders are now in national hands. Local farms are producing. Electric cars are being assembled. Roads are being built, not by the French, not by the UN, but by the Burkinabe people for their own future. This is the blueprint. This is the nightmare of every foreign power trying to keep Africa under control. Because the moment one African nation succeeds without them, others will follow. And the illusion of dependence will shatter. But make no mistake, they won't give up easily. They will send more spies disguised as NGO workers. They will sponsor more propaganda to discredit leaders who refuse to bow. They will tighten economic nooses, stir up internal divisions, and call it humanitarian concern. We've seen this playbook before. Libya, Congo, Côte d'Ivoire. Now Burkina Faso. The names change, the game does not. That is why we must remain vigilant, united, fearless. Because if we blink, we fall back. If we stay silent, they write our history again. But if we rise together, nothing, not even the most powerful empires, can hold us back. So don't just be a viewer, be a witness to the truth. Be a voice that spreads it. Be the generation that refuses to kneel. Subscribe now. Share this video like our future depends on it, because it does. Drop a comment, raise your voice, and let them know Africa is watching. Africa is waking. Africa is done playing small. And as the tide turns, one thing becomes crystal clear. The age of foreign control cloaked in diplomacy is crumbling. They may come with contracts, with military trainers, with soft words in front of cameras. But behind closed doors, it's always the same motive: control. Control of our land, control of our leaders, control of our future. And for years, they succeeded because they counted on our silence, our disunity, our desperation. But today, that calculation is failing. The voices rising from Ouagadougou, Bamako, Niamey, and beyond are no longer whispers. They are thunder, demanding justice, demanding dignity, demanding full ownership of African destinies. And no amount of press statements, sanctions, or staged summits can silence a people who have decided to stand. We are not your battlefield. We are not your storage yard for criminals. We are not your pawn in global chess games. We are Africa, rich in soil, richer in spirit, and unstoppable when united. And to every African leader watching this moment unfold, choose wisely. The days of hiding behind foreign embassies and IMF deals are over. You will either be remembered as a servant of the people or a servant of their oppressors. You will either rise with your people or fall under the weight of your betrayal. And to the youth, the real engine of change, your voice is not too small. Your power is not a myth. You are the firewall between a free Africa and one still shackled by illusion. Rise up. Speak out. Organize. Educate. Build. The time for waiting is gone. Like this video if you feel the fire of justice. Subscribe if you refuse to be another silent statistic. Share it if you believe this message is bigger than borders. Because what we are building here is more than awareness. It's a movement, a resistance, a reclamation. And the world is watching. But more importantly, Africa is finally watching itself, with open eyes and a roaring heart. And now, the question no one can avoid: what comes next? Do we continue letting foreign powers write our policies, build our prisons, train our soldiers to one day overthrow us, and mock our presidents on our own soil? Do we keep trading dignity for dollars, sovereignty for aid, and truth for silence? Or do we rise? This is not just about Rwanda signing a deal. It's not just about coups or congressmen or Macron's insults. This is about the soul of a continent that has endured centuries of theft, exploitation, and manipulation, yet still stands, still hopes, still fights. But hope alone is not enough. Rage alone is not enough. What we need now is action. What we need now is unity, not just in politics, but in consciousness. Not just in words, but in will. Not just in outrage, but in organization. Because as long as we remain divided by flags, languages, and the lies of foreign powers, we stay weak. But when we rise as one, Pan-African, unapologetic, unshakable, we become the very force they fear most, an Africa they cannot control. So to those who still doubt, look again. The revolution is no longer coming. It is here. It's in every young African demanding to know where their resources go. It's in every village reclaiming land from foreign mining giants. It's in every mother teaching her children the truth about colonialism. It's in every soldier refusing to be a puppet in someone else's war. And it's in you right now, choosing to hear this story, not from BBC, not from CNN, not from filtered headlines, but from us. Unedited, unfiltered, unafraid. If you've stayed with us this far, don't let this be the end. Subscribe, like, share, and comment below. What do you believe Africa's next move should be? Because no one else is coming to fix this. It's up to us. And we're just getting started. So here we are, at the edge of a decision that will echo for generations. We can no longer pretend we don't see what's happening. We can't keep swallowing silence while our futures are sold, our leaders are mocked, and our lands are treated like someone else's dumping ground. But the most dangerous thing we can do now is nothing. If we stay quiet, they win. If we stay divided, they rule. If we look the other way, they take everything. But if we stand together, one voice, one vision, one Africa, then nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop us. Not their prisons. Not their coups. Not their propaganda. And standing together starts right now. Subscribe to this channel, not just for more stories, but to be part of something real. Like this video if you feel the fire of truth burning in your chest. Share it with your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your community, because someone out there needs to hear this. We are not building an audience, we're building a movement. And if you've ever felt the sting of injustice, if you've ever looked at Africa and seen both the pain and the promise, if you've ever dreamed of a continent that finally stands tall on its own terms, this is your moment. This is your fight. This is your time. Support this movement. Raise your voice. Defend your future. Because Africa is not just rising, Africa is awakening. And we will not go back to sleep.